The sacred touch, the humidity of Kithara Prime, clung to Lieutenant Marcus, Reed's uniform like a second skin as he followed the Valari escorts through the dense jungle canopy. Towering crimson trees stretched toward twin suns, their branches intertwined, to form a natural cathedral. The diplomatic shuttle had landed 3 hours ago, but the real journey was just beginning. "Remember, Lieutenant," whispered Ambassador Thorne, mopping sweat from his brow, "these people value strength above all else. Show weakness, and our peace negotiations die before they start." Marcus nodded, adjusting his ceremonial sidearm. 6 months of brutal warfare had decimated both human and Valari forces. This moon, rich in rare minerals essential for faster-than-light travel, had become a bloody battleground. Today's meeting represented humanity's last chance for a diplomatic solution. The Valari warriors flanking them moved with predatory grace, their scaled skin gleaming like living armor. 7 feet tall, with elongated limbs and razor-sharp claws, they embodied millennia of evolutionary warfare. Their leader, a scarred veteran named Torvin, had spoken only 3 words since their arrival. "Follow. No talking." As they approached the sacred grove, Marcus felt the weight of ancient eyes upon him. Carved totems depicting legendary battles lined the path, each more intricate than the last. The Valari believed their ancestors watched from these monuments, judging the living worthy or wanting. The shrine materialized from the jungle like a fever dream, a massive structure built from blackened stone and polished bone. Bioluminescent, vines pulsed with ethereal light, casting dancing shadows across intricate hieroglyphs. At its heart lay a circular chamber where Chieftain Vextar waited, his massive frame draped in the pelts of creatures Marcus couldn't identify. "Humans," the chieftain growled, his voice like grinding stone. "You come seeking peace while your ships still burn our skies." Ambassador Thorne stepped forward, his diplomatic training evident in every measured word. "Great chieftain, we come with proposals that benefit both our peoples. The resources of Kithara Prime are vast enough." A raised claw silenced him. Vextar's golden eyes fixed on Marcus. "You carry weapons in our sacred place, young warrior. This shows either great courage or great foolishness." The chamber fell silent, except for the distant cry of jungle predators. Marcus felt sweat beading on his forehead as dozens of Valari warriors materialized from the shadows, their hands resting on ornate blade hilts. In the center of the shrine, atop a pedestal of carved obsidian, lay a sword unlike any he'd ever seen. The blade seemed to drink light itself, its surface rippling with patterns that hurt to look at directly. The crossguard was fashioned from what appeared to be crystallized lightning, while the pommel bore the carved visage of a snarling beast. "That," Vextar said, noting Marcus's fascination, "belonged to my predecessor, Warlord Kethmar. It has not been touched since his death in battle against your kind." The words carried warning, but Marcus was already moving, drawn by forces he couldn't understand. The binding time crystallized as Marcus's fingertips brushed the sword's hilt. The metal felt impossibly cold, then burning hot, as if the weapon was alive and testing him. Around the chamber, every Valari warrior froze mid-breath. The only sound was Ambassador Thorne's strangled gasp of horror. "What have you done?" Thorne whispered dot. The answer came not from the humans, but from the shadows beyond the shrine's entrance. A figure emerged tall, even by Valari standards, wearing armor that seemed forged from midnight itself. Her face bore the ritual scars of a proven warrior, but her eyes held depths that spoke of nobility and loss. "He has invoked the Kethmazat," she said, her voice carrying the authority of one born to command. "The binding of blades." This was Zephyra, daughter of the fallen warlord, and according to intelligence reports, the deadliest warrior of her generation. She moved with fluid grace, each step deliberate and predatory. The other Valari parted before her like water before a ship's prow. Chieftain, Vexstar-s expression shifted from surprise to something approaching awe. Zephyra, surely the ancient laws are absolute, she finished, drawing her own blade in. One smooth motion. The weapon sang as it cleared its sheath, its edge gleaming with lethal promise. The human has touched Kethmer's blade. By the old ways, he must prove worthy of the honor or die for the transgression. Marcus felt the temperature in the chamber drop several degrees. His diplomatic training had covered Valari customs extensively, but nothing had prepared him for this. I meant no disrespect. I didn't understand. Ignorance, Zephyra interrupted, is not absolution. The blade chose to allow your touch. This can mean only two things. You are destined to claim the strength of my bloodline through marriage, or you possess warrior's courage enough to face death with honor. Ambassador Thorn stepped between them, his face pale but determined. Surely there's room for negotiation here. Lieutenant Red is a diplomatic envoy under protection of— Zephyra's laugh was like breaking glass. Your human laws hold no power. Here, soft one. The lieutenant has entered our sacred space and touched what should never be touched. The spirits of our ancestors demand satisfaction. The assembled warriors began a low rhythmic chant that seemed to emanate from the very stones around them. Marcus realized with growing dread that this wasn't just ceremony. It was preparation for either a wedding or a funeral. Possibly both. What exactly does this ... binding ... require? He asked, surprised by the steadiness of his own voice. Zephyra circled him slowly, her predatory gaze taking his measure. 7 trials, human. 7 tests of worth that have claimed the lives of champions. You will face the gauntlet of storms, where lightning itself becomes your opponent. You will hunt the shadow stalker in the deep caves, armed with nothing but the blade you dared to touch. You will. And if I succeed? Marcus interrupted. Her smile revealed teeth filed to sharp points. Then you become bound to our clan, your strength joined to mine for the duration of your natural life. You will learn our ways, fight our battles, and perhaps even sire the next generation of warriors. And if I fail, then you die as a warrior, should with honor, and your name spoken with respect among the ancestors. The chanting grew louder, more insistent. Marcus looked at Ambassador Thorn's horrified face, then at the expectant expressions of the assembled. Valari. There was no diplomatic solution here, no careful negotiation that could undo what his curiosity had wrought. He straightened his shoulders and met Zephyra's fierce gaze. When do the trials begin? The gauntlet of Stormsdawn on Cathara Prime brought with it the crackling energy of an approaching tempest. Marcus stood at the edge of the Stormlands, a barren plateau where metallic spires pierced the sky like fingers of some buried giant. The Valari called this place Velthara, the testing ground of the ancestors. Zephyra handed him the ancient blade, its weight somehow familiar despite yesterday's brief contact. Kethmer's sword has no name in your tongue, she said. We call it Morthic Soul Cutter. It was forged in the heart of a dying star and quenched in the blood of the first warlord. Today, it will either accept you as worthy or consume you. From within, the gathered crowd included not just Valari warriors, but representatives from both sides of the conflict. Word of the human who'd invoked the ancient binding had spread quickly. Some came to witness potential alliance through marriage. Others hoped to see the presumptuous outsider meet his end. Captain Bray on a cross, Marcus's commanding officer, pushed through the crowd. Her weathered face showed concern beneath her professional composure. This is insane, Reed. We can extract. You create a diplomatic incident if necessary. And doom any chance of peace? Marcus shook his head. The war's already cost too many lives. If this is the price for ending it. Thunder rolled across the plateau as the first lightning bolt split the sky. Unlike ordinary electrical discharge, this energy seemed directed, purposeful. The metallic spires began to resonate with harmonic frequencies that made Marcus's teeth ache. "The storm comes," announced Elder Korath, the ancient Valari mystic who would oversee the trial. "When the lightning turns crimson, the test begins. You must reach the center spire and touch the storm heart before the tempest claims you. Many have tried. All have failed." Marcus studied the obstacle course ahead. The spires were connected by narrow bridges of crystallized metal, some barely wide enough for a single person. Between them, charged particles danced in patterns that suggested both beauty and death. The distance to the center couldn't be more than a quarter mile, but the path would be treacherous. The first crimson bolt struck the nearest spire, and Marcus ran. Immediately, he understood why so many had died here. The metallic surfaces conducted electricity unpredictably, sending cascades of energy across paths that had seemed safe moments before. Morthic hummed in his grip, its blade seeming to anticipate the lightning's movements. Halfway across the first bridge, a massive discharge caught him. Instead of agony, he felt the sword absorb the energy, channeling it harmlessly through his body and into the ground. The weapon was protecting him, or perhaps testing him in ways he couldn't comprehend. "Impossible," he heard Zephyr breathe from somewhere behind him. The trial became a deadly dance. Marcus leaped from spire to spire, using Morthic to redirect. Lightning strikes that would have reduced him to ash. Each successful deflection seemed to please the sword, its surface growing warmer, more responsive to his touch dot. As he neared the center, the storm heart revealed itself a sphere of pure energy suspended between four towering spires. To reach it meant crossing bridges that crackled with lethal voltage, while crimson lightning struck with increasing frequency. Marcus didn't hesitate. He sprinted across the final approach as the storm's fury reached its crescendo. Lightning struck the spire behind him, the bridge ahead of him, and the very air around him. Through it all, Morthic sang with otherworldly power, creating a protective barrier that allowed him to reach the storm heart. The moment his free hand touched the energy sphere, silence fell across the plateau. The lightning ceased. The thunder stopped. Even the wind held its breath. Then, from the assembled crowd, came a sound Marcus had never heard before Valari. Warriors cheering for a human. Shadows and revelations. The celebration was short-lived. As the crowd dispersed from the Stormlands, Torvin approached with news that drained the color from Zephyr's face. "There's been an attack on the northern outpost. 3 of our scouts are dead, and the evidence points to human involvement." Captain Cross stepped forward immediately. "That's impossible. All our forces are under strict ceasefire orders." "Tell that to the families of the dead," Torvin growled, his hand moving instinctively to his weapon. Marcus felt the fragile piece beginning to crumble. "What kind of evidence?" Zephyr's expression had shifted from grudging respect to cold suspicion. "Human projectile weapons. Energy signatures matching your military technology. And this." She produced a blood-stained insignia, Marcus's own unit. Designation. The implications hit him like a physical blow. Someone was sabotaging the peace process, using his involvement in the trials as cover for renewed aggression. "But who and why?" "I need to see the attack site," Marcus said. "Out of the question," Ambassador Thorne interjected, finally catching up to the group. "Lieutenant, you're needed for debriefing, and—" "He goes nowhere without escort," Zephyr declared. "The binding is not complete. Until all 7 trials are finished, he remains under Valari protection." Her emphasis on the word protection carried multiple meanings, none of them comforting. The journey to the northern outpost revealed a jungle transformed by war. Earned clearings marked sites of previous battles, while automated defense systems created an electronic maze that both sides navigated with deadly precision. The Valari moved through this landscape like ghosts, their camouflage abilities making them nearly invisible, even to Marcus's enhanced tactical sensors. The attack site told a troubling story. The positioning of the bodies, the angle of the weapons, fire, even the tactical approach, everything suggested human military precision. But something felt wrong. Marcus knelt beside the blast crater where the outpost's communication array had been destroyed. "Zephyra, look at this." He pointed to the residue patterns. "These aren't from standard human weapons. The energy signature is wrong, too focused, too clean. And the timing." He stood, pieces of a larger puzzle clicking into place. "This attack happened during my trial. Someone wanted both our peoples watching me struggle with lightning while they eliminated witnesses." "Witnesses to what?" she asked, but her tone suggested she was beginning to understand. Captain Cross activated her tactical scanner, frowning at the readings. "Reads right. This is Valari technology, but modified. Someone's been reverse engineering your weapons and making them look human-made." Elder Korith emerged from the shadows like a living ghost. "There are those among both your peoples who profit from war. Peace threatens their power, their wealth. The binding has made you a symbol of hope and end, therefore a target." As if summoned by his words, the jungle around them erupted in weapons fire. Projectiles whistled past Marcus's head as he dove for cover behind a fallen log. Zephyra materialized beside him, her blade already bloodied from an attacker who'd gotten too close. "How many?" Marcus asked, checking his sidearm's charge. "2. "Many," she replied grimly. "And they're using her own tactics against us." The enemy had positioned themselves expertly, cutting off retreat routes while maintaining fields of fire that made advancement impossible. Worse, Marcus could see both. Human and Valari weapons among their attackers. Evidence of a conspiracy that ran deeper than simple sabotage. "We need to reach higher ground," Captain Cross called out from her position. "There's a ridge line about 200 meters north." Her words were cut off as a sniper's round found its mark. She stumbled but kept moving, her armor absorbing most of the impact. Blood seeped through the gaps in her protective gear. Marcus made a decision that surprised even himself. He stood, Morphic gleaming in his hands, and walked directly into the enemy's line of fire. The ancient blade seemed to anticipate each shot, deflecting projectiles with movements too fast for conscious thought. Around him, both Valari and human. Attackers hesitated, confusion replacing coordination. "Enough." His voice carried across the battlefield with unexpected authority. "Show yourselves, you cowards. Face me honorably, or slink away like the vermin you are." The challenge, issued in perfect Valari combat dialect, brought their hidden enemies into the open and revealed a conspiracy that threatened to destroy both civilizations. The price of peace, the figures who emerged from the jungle represented Marcus's worst fears made manifest. Leading the mixed group of human and Valari conspirators was Colonel Thaddeus Kane, a decorated officer Marcus had served under 2 years. Earlier, beside him stood Velkar, a Valari noble whose clan had grown wealthy selling weapons to both sides of the conflict. "Lieutenant Reed," Kane said with mock civility, his weapon trained on Marcus's chest. "Still playing hero, I see. Did you really think your little peace mission would succeed?" "The war's over, Colonel. Both sides want to end this." Kane's laugh was bitter. "The war is business, boy. Do you have any idea how much profit these primitive aliens generate? Their metallurgy alone is worth billions. Their biotechnology could revolutionize human medicine. And you want to just share it? Through diplomacy?" Velkar spoke in the guttural Valari tongue, his words causing several of the alien conspirators to raise their weapons higher. Zephyra translated with disgust. "He says humans are weak, that we should take your technology and expand our hunting grounds to the stars." Together, They've been prolonging this conflict, ensuring neither side gains decisive victory. But the binding changes everything, Elder Korath observed quietly. A human who proves worthy of Valari respect threatens their narrative of inevitable conflict. Marcus felt Morthic growing warm in his grip, as if the ancient weapon was responding to his rising anger. How many died for your profits? How many families destroyed so you could line your pockets? Casualties of progress, Cain replied coldly. Though I'll admit, your unexpected survival of the storm trial has complicated things. No matter. A tragic death during the remaining trials will serve our purposes just as well. The standoff stretched taut as a wire. Marcus counted at least 20 enemies, too many for direct confrontation, even with Zephyr's skills and Captain Cross's tactical expertise. But the ancient blade in his hands pulsed with possibilities he was only beginning to understand. There's something you should know about Morthic, Zephyr said suddenly, her voice carrying across the clearing. It was never just my father's weapon. It's a relic of the first peace between our peoples, forged when humans and Valari fought together against a common enemy. Centuries ago. Cain's expression shifted from confidence to uncertainty. Impossible. First contact was less than a decade ago. First recent contact, Elder Korath corrected. But not first contact ever. Your species has met before, in the dark times when the Devourer fleets threatened both our worlds. The sword remembers. It remembers unity. Marcus felt the truth of those words resonating through the weapon. Images flashed through his mind, humans and Valari standing side by side against monstrous foes, their combined strength proving greater than either could achieve alone. The blade hadn't tested him for worthiness as a warrior. It had tested him as a bridge between worlds. Enough mythology, Cain snarled, raising his rifle. Kill them all. What followed was less battle than revelation. Morthic moved with ancient wisdom, its blade seeming to be everywhere at once. But Marcus wasn't. Fighting alone, Zephyr fought beside him with perfect synchronization, as if they'd trained together for years. Captain Cross and Elder Korath covered their flanks, while the jungle itself seemed to turn against the conspirators. When the smoke cleared, Cain lay dying, his chest pierced by Velkar's blade. The Valari noble had turned on his human ally in a final act of species loyalty. But even that betrayal came too late. The conspiracy was broken, its members dead or fleeing. The trials, Zephyr said quietly, as medics tended to Captain Cross's wounds. There were supposed to be 7. Marcus looked at the ancient sword in his hands, then at the mixed group of humans and Valari working together to secure the area. I think I just completed them all at once. Ambassador Thorne's voice crackled over the communication system. Lieutenant, read, both governments have agreed to formal peace negotiations. Your actions today, they've given us the miracle we needed. Later, as twin suns set over Kithara Prime's jungle canopy, Marcus found himself alone with Zephora at the memorial shrine. The ancient blade rested between them, no longer a symbol of binding through trial, but of unity through choice. So, she said with what might have been amusement, do you still wish to complete the binding? Marriage to a Valari warrior comes with certain ... challenges. Marcus considered the question seriously. I think I'm beginning to understand what the sword was really testing. Not whether I could survive your trials, but whether I could help our people survive together. She nodded slowly. Wisdom beyond your years, human. Perhaps there is hope for peace after all. As if in response, Morthic pulsed once with warm light, then fell silent, its ancient purpose finally fulfilled.